So, have you ever wondered how could some people work only to get themselves fired and some other people manage to work happily even with lots of pressure? Well, today I will introduce to you to the term dedicated worker and workaholic and understand deeply of the answer to our previous question. My name is Yumna Almas from English Education Department of Sebelas Maret University. Workaholism. The term was proposed by psychologist Oates in 1971, who described it as the compulsion or the uncontrollable need to work incessantly. Until now, there are several definitions arise to limit the concept of workaholism. Some researchers define it as an addiction to work, and another researcher define it as a pathology. But American Psychological Association define it in a much more comprehensive way, where workaholism should consist of first, the feeling to force work due to internal pressure, second, persistent thinking of work even when not working, and the last, working beyond the reasonably expected by the minimum requirements of the job description or basic economic needs. But I guess some of you may be wondering what makes people work so hard. Well, before that, we should know the most basic idea of why do people work. First, we work to fulfill our needs and wants, whether to get what we need directly, such as food or money, to buy things, pay rent, pay for an education fee, and other obligations. Apparently, we live in a society that links people who don't work with poverty, homelessness, starvation, and early death. So naturally, we work to avoid those things and conditions. But that's not the whole story, because there's some reason beyond financial needs and material gains. There are some people who are millionaire but still working, and retired people who still volunteered. That's where working meaningful for them, that they don't quit even when they can or don't get paid. Apparently, those who feel their work meaningful tend to be happier than those who don't. Well, I will elaborate this point more on the next section of this video. So, the last point, third, there are things in work engagement that makes people work. That is, getting appreciation feedback from others. Again, this point will be elaborated in the next section of this video. So, stay tuned. Alright, getting back to our recent question, we should also discuss why people are becoming workaholism. What really drives them to work so hard, and as American Psychological Association stated, work beyond the reasonably expected by the minimum requirement of the job description or basic economic needs. Why do people become workaholic? First, workaholism can be explained by inner and outer work motivational forces. The feeling of incompetency sometimes triggers someone to work harder in order to satisfy themselves, which is inner motivation, and also satisfy others, which is outer motivation. Van in 2011 in his research shows that external reinforcement followed by an inability to regulate one's behavior may lead to wanting to be acknowledged or avoiding criticism that causes workaholism. Second thing is, some researchers connect workaholism with the big five personality traits, which is extroversion, conscientiousness, agreeableness, openness to experience, and neuroticism. Although there are only weak correlations between workaholism and personality traits, personalities such as conscientiousness, extroversion, neuroticism, and openness correlates positively with workaholism, while agreeableness correlates, negatively. Well, at the last point is workaholism can also be seen in cognitive perspectives, such as schemata, assumptions, expectations, attributions, and automatic thoughts. An example of it that when a person has a negative self-image and basic belief that hard work equals success, he or she will likely show workaholism behavior. Another example is the positive correlation between self-efficacy and task prioritization. Well, surprisingly, even when workaholism seems rather be seen as a negative phenomenon and is an unhealthy lifestyle, some people actually enjoy doing it. Spence and Robbins in 1992 discovered there are basically two types of workaholics, which is enthusiastic workaholics and non-enthusiastic workaholics. Enthusiastic workaholics are people who find joy and contentment in work and are generally signified by elevated levels of work involvement. Otherwise, non-enthusiastic workaholics are people who are similarly work-involved and internally driven, but appear to derive little pleasure from excessive work. Other researchers define it in a better way with two scales, which is feeling driven to work and work enjoyment. Again, you may have this question. Is there even people who enjoy being workaholic? Well, apparently the term workaholic is not used to describe workaholism in a positive way. So instead, we use dedicated worker or passionate worker, or anything else with a more positive choice of words. So to answer this question, yes, there are actually people who enjoy working. Why? The answer has been stated previously that people who find their job meaningful tend to be happy. So the key here is meaningful work. But what exactly is meaningful work? Well, to answer that, we need to discuss the experiment conducted by Dan Ariely, a researcher in behavioral science. He is an economist, psychologist, and professor of behavioral economics at Duke University. So, Dan's first experiment is pay people to build bicycles. In this experiment, Dan asked people to build bionicle Legos. The first condition of the experiment is called meaningful condition. Dan told the participants that per bionicle they build, they get $3, but it will decrease by 30 cents per additional bionicles they make. So the second bionicles they build will be purchased into only $2.70. However, the bionicles will be put under the table after they are finished. The second condition is called Sisyphean condition, and it is inspired by Sisyphus, who was punished by gods to take a huge rock on top of the hill, but then the rock will be rolled over down the hill again, and it was repeated over and over again. And there is something about this cycle of doing over and over again of the same activity that makes people demotivated. Now, in this condition, the participant will be asked to build bionicles for $3 and lessened by 30 cents as they accepted the next offer to build another one. But what makes it different by the meaningful condition is that when they build the next bionicles, Dan and his team will disassemble the bionicle the participant made previously in front of their eyes. And they do it over and over again until the participant said they don't want to do it anymore. Now, when they compare both conditions' result, people in meaningful condition build more bionicles than in the Sisyphean condition, 11 over 7 bionicles. However, when Dan asked people to predict the result, they understand the meaning of the importance but fail to understand the magnitudes of the importance, as they only predict that the participants in the meaningful condition will build only one more bionicle than participants in Sisyphean condition. Other shocking result is that the correlation between love of Legos and the amount of bionicles the participant made exists in the meaningful condition, but it did not exist in the Sisyphean condition. It means that disassembling the bionicles in front of the one built it is the same as crushing their joy. Now, this is the second experiment, which called paperwork, and it's kind of interesting. Well, a sheet of paper full of random letters put together in rows were given to the participants, and they are asked to identify letters that were identical next to each other. The money distribution to give were the same as build the bionicles experiment, which is $3 and lessened by 30 cents per additional work, so $2.70 and $2.40 and etc. So the first condition is called acknowledge condition. In this condition, once participant had done the task, the examiner will look at it briefly, scan it, and say, and put it up. The second condition is called ignore condition, and in this case, once the participant had done the task, the examiner will not look at it at all, nor scan it and just put it on. And the third condition is called shredder condition. Once the participant had done the task, the examiner directly put it into the shredder right in front of their eyes. So, the result is interesting. The acknowledged conditions participant do the task until the pay rate was 15 cents. The shredder condition did the task just until 30 cents. However, the ignored condition was almost like the shredder condition, just slightly below it. It means that ignoring the effort of people is almost the same as shredding their job. So, let's looking back to our question. Why do some people love working? From Dana's experiment, we can answer it that some people love working because they find it meaningful and their work is appreciated. And we should note that the meaningfulness and appreciation here shouldn't be something big like saving the world, curing disease, volunteering in disaster places, but simply the feeling that their effort will be beneficial, recognized, and seen by others. And that's why people like firefighters, doctors, scientists, volunteers tend to be enthusiastic workaholics or dedicated work. They felt that their work is meaningful for themselves and also others. So, wait a minute. Okay, so I want to clear this thing up that the term workaholic is neutral, but society tends to link it with negativity. Workaholic isn't always bad. There are also positive workaholic, which are called enthusiastic workaholic, or what society calls dedicated worker. We can always work hard and keep work and life balance. In fact, when we put the optimum effort, we can still achieve our goals and still own our life without much interfere of the negative impact of workaholism. So it really depends on how we see it, whether it is a completely bad lifestyle or there are some specific degree to utilize it. It's really up to you to decide. Well, this is my reference. You can pause it. And also this. And my name is Yumna Rosyidah Almas, and I'm signing out. Thank you very much.